Good morning. It is 9:45, and I'd like to call the order of the bill. Excuse me. I got the other script. I have Dennis's script.
You too.
That's
pretty cool.
There it is.
Dennis doesn't have a script.
Okay, take two. It's 9:45, and I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Finance and Auditing Committee. It is Thursday, June 25th. Before we begin, please note the meeting is being recorded. Welcome to everyone joining us here in person as well as those listening on the phone. If you'd like to provide public comment at today's meeting, and if you have not done so already, please let Thomas in the back of the room or Justine on the call line know what items you'd like to speak on today. Madam Secretary, kindly call the roll.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Starting with Director Cochran.
Here.
Devlin.
Here.
Hernandez is absent. Maston is absent. Giordoni.
Here.
Vice Chair Parr.
Yes.
Chair Giudice.
Here.
And President Rabbit.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum. We are not a committee of whole, but also in the room we have Directors Hardiman, Hill, and Parrish. Welcome.
Perfect. Please follow along referring to the page numbers located in the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet. We will begin with agenda item number 3, which is ratification of the previous actions by the Auditor Controller. Monique Spike from PFM is here with us today in person and to go over the investment report, which begins on page 9. Monique, welcome. Good morning, and please present your report.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm going to start on page 10 of the packet just to talk about the change in the interest rate environment. As you know, we've had our first Fed meeting under new chair, Warsh. And surprisingly, I think we had anticipated, or there was general sentiment that Chair Warsh would come in with a sense of reducing interest rates, but the Fed has actually turned a bit more hawkish. So interest rates rose month over month, 2-year rising about 14 basis points. And although the Fed held rates steady at their last meeting, we saw about half of the participating members vote for a potential rate increase or indicate that they would see a potential rate increase by the end of the year. Some even seeing perhaps 2 rate increases by year end. One of the things that's really interesting is that the Fed strategy has shifted to being a body that is less directional in terms of what they're going to do. And so they're stepping back from signaling to the market about their intentions. We should see less information coming from the Fed, which could lead to a little bit more volatility. So where we sit today, the 2-year is actually a bit higher than it was at the end of May. We're now at about 4.10%. That creates some opportunities for us, of course, to purchase some higher yielding investments in the district's portfolio. The other thing I want to talk about is the consumer sentiment and energy prices. So I'm going to jump to page 13. Energy prices right now remain the most immediate macro swing factor in the economy, directly feeding into inflation expectations. Inflation has been higher than anticipated, as we all know, and that is something that the Fed is watching. That's part of the reason we have a little bit more hawkish outlook. But we do know that inflation is still squeezing the consumer, although with recent developments in Iran, we are seeing oil prices come down. And we also saw some good news just this morning where we had Iran government officials indicate that they may not or would not be charging tolls in the Strait of Hormuz. And so that with the additional oil supply that we hope to come out of Iran and other places should be a net positive for the inflationary outlook and for the consumer. So I'm going to move forward to talk about what we've been doing in the portfolio. And so I would turn to page 18 of the packet. Bottom line narrative is that the economy has been resilient. We do see some increasing fragility beneath the surface. Inflation, of course, is evolving and constraining consumers. But overall, the market environment has held up. Our strategy has been and continues to be a very pragmatic approach. We're monitoring credit. We're doing the analysis. We're ensuring that the portfolio structure is optimized for the district's liquidity needs. We have been able to take advantage of higher yielding investments, and so that has a positive outlook on earnings growth in the portfolio. And the combined yield of the portfolio at month end was 4.16%. So very attractive, very good yielding, and you can see the maturity distribution in the bottom right shows, great liquidity in both the overnight bucket while also taking advantage of longer term investments. So geopolitical environment, energy are the biggest sort of swing factors in the short term. But again, I think we can count on a higher rate environment through year end, and we probably aren't going to see any rate reductions until next year. So I'll pause there for questions.
Thank you, Monique. Are there questions or comments from the directors? Okay, seeing none, that concludes discussion on item number 3. Before we take our vote, is anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers on this item.
Okay, and online? No?
Online, no.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion on agenda item number 3?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Kindly call the roll.
Thank you. We have a first and second on item number 3, starting with Director Cochran.
Yes.
Devlin?
Aye.
Hernandez is absent. Mastin is absent. Rodoni?
Aye.
Vice Chair Parr?
Yes.
Chair Giudice?
Yes.
And President Rabbit?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you, and thank you, Monique. We'll continue to item number 4A, which is authorized budget transfers and adjustments for fiscal year 2025-2026 operating budget. The staff report begins on page 43, and Jennifer Minucci is here to present the report. Good morning, Jennifer. Please present your report.
Good morning. Good morning, Director Giudice and members of the Finance and Auditing Committee. This is item 4A. This is generally a routine item. The item before you is to clean up, as we say, our districts, to adhere to our district's budget policies. Our budget policy is that all categories within each of the division budgets need to fall within a 50,000 so that the budget to actual stays within its budget. Overall, the operating budget this year has had lower expenses. So this item just right sizes the budget categories and stays within the budget at the end of the year. So this year, unlike some of the other years, all we're doing is transferring within its own division. So within Bridge, we're just recategorizing. Sometimes we have to take things from one division to another if there's an overage, but I think it's good news that we're going to stay within each of the divisions. Just as a note, for each of the divisions, you can see starting on page 44, just a listing of what it's for. So for the Bridge division, it's mainly to accommodate higher depreciation. That in particular was because we needed we are depreciating suicide deterrent sooner than we thought, which just means that, sorry, John, we guessed that we thought they were going to start a little later. So that's good news. It's good that they have finished that capital project, and starting that depreciation sooner than we anticipated in the budget. Also, as you know, we've had some increased fuel costs, and we had a one-time settlement over many years. It's hitting a one-time category in the Bridge division. Bus division, the transfers are right-sized to accommodate increase in lease vehicle costs. And then in the ferry division, also the increase in fuel costs, insurance, and another one-time settlement. The details, if you're interested, are on attachment A, and that's page 47 of your report. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there questions or comments from directors? Okay, seeing none, that concludes the discussion on item number 4A. Before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers in the room or online.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. We're voting on item 4A with the first and second, starting with Director Cochran.
Yes.
Devlin?
Aye.
Hernandez is absent. Mastin is absent. Rodoni?
Aye.
Vice Chair Parr?
Yes.
Chair Giudice?
Yes.
And President Rabbit?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll continue item number 5A, which is to authorize the filing of applications for the Federal Transit Administration Formula Program and Surface Transportation Program funding for transit capital projects, commit the necessary local match for the projects, and assure completion of the projects. The staff report begins on page number 49, and continuing to present will be Jennifer, please.
All right. So this is a pretty routine item. This is to request the general manager to submit and execute grant applications related to FTA. There's a various set of grants, and they refer to them as the FTA formula grants, but they include the Section 55307, the State of Good Repair, FHWA STP funds. So it's a bundle. On page 50 of your packet or page 2 of your report, it details out what we are requesting authorization to program this year. It's $30,685,159 toward 2 projects. The bulk of that is for the high-speed ferry replacement, for the majority of that funding, and then the remainder for ADA operating costs for a total of $358,759. The total local match for all these funds is only $7.6 million for district funds, and that's already been included in our upcoming capital and operating budget. And I am happy also to answer any questions about this item if you have them.
Thank you, Jennifer. Directors, questions, comments? Seeing none, that concludes discussion on item number 5A. Before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers on item number 5A in the room or on the public line.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Fantastic. Madam Secretary, kindly call the roll.
Thank you. Starting with Director Cochran on item number 5A.
Yes.
Devlin?
Aye.
Hernandez is absent. Maston is absent. Rodoni?
Aye.
Vice Chair Parr?
Yes.
Chair Giudice?
Yes.
And President Rabbit.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll continue item number 6, which is which is to approve renewal of the liability and property insurance programs. The staff report begins on page 53. And good morning. Kelly Vitale is here to present the report. Please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so we have 9 policies to bind as usual. And the recommendation is that the committee recommend to the board approval to bind the 9 policies for a total of approximately $6.2 million. Yesterday I did receive a notice of reduction on one of the premiums. So I would ask that this approval to the board be not to exceed the $6.2 million. Just to give you a little development, we go out to bid for each one of these policies. We had the brokers work on the different lines, and I got a call yesterday that our cyber coverage, we had previously a $50,000 deductible with a $5 million limit at about a $50,000 premium. And the broker had gone to them because they competitively placed them in the market. And so we got other bids that were lower. So they went back to the incumbent and told them that. They reduced our deductible to $25,000 and reduced our premium $10,000. So I know it's just $10,000 on top of $6.2 million, but it's a savings, right? So that was some good news that I got yesterday. So, okay, I'll dive into the report. Some of you might not be familiar with all the lines of policies that we bind at this particular time of year. The 9 policies include programs through our liability and then our property programs. And so the coverages in the liability program include an excess general and automobile liability. And that is our biggest policy that we bind. And it is about $4.6 million for a 1-year term. And we have a tower that goes up to $85 million in coverage. So that's why the premium is so large. We do have a couple of different sets of deductibles on that, depending on if it's for liability or if it's for automobile liability. And again, that premium is renewing at about $4.6 million. We do have excess workers' comp coverage. It's required in the state of California if you're going to be self-insured, of which we are. We are self-insured for each loss up to $250,000 with a $25 million limit on our excess. So we pay the first $1.250, and we have had 1 claim in the 7 years that I've been here that's reached that threshold. So the majority of our coverage is well within our layer. Because of that, the excess carrier that we work with, Safety National, came back with an annual premium of about $444,000 for their renewal. We then have to bind a policy for our public officials and employment practices liability. And so that is coverage for employment claims and public officials. And that has a retention of about $250,000. And that policy is $139,000 and some change. The next coverage under the liability program is our fiduciary liability, and that is for the other public employee benefits, the trust board that we have with Chubb Insurance Company. It's a $25,000 deductible for those, for that board, and the premium is right around $15,000. And the crime insurance program, That has a 3-year term and has a $1 million limit, and that annual premium is just about $3,600. And finally, the last item under the liability program is the cyber liability, and that's the program where on your documents it will say that the premium was $51,748 with a $50,000 deductible, but we got that reduced yesterday. And the new premium is $40,900, and it's a $25,000 deductible. So we saved $10,000 on that particular line. And the next line of coverages that we have to bind are for our property insurance program. I made a small adjustment on the property insurance with AIG. We had a self-insured retention or a deductible of $500,000, and all of our claims had been under that. So I went back and forth with the broker and AIG and was able to reduce the premium to $756,000 for a $750,000 deductible. I saved us almost $30,000 by increasing the deductible, but it made sense because we haven't had claims over that. So we're going to try that out this year and see if it stays effective for us. And the next coverage that we have under the property program is the insurance for the Marin Transit buses. We have to have property damage insurance for those buses. Their value came back a little higher this year, and so we have a deductible of $50,000 on that policy, and it was almost $35,000. Last year it was, I believe, $21,000. So it's substantially increased, but they showed a substantial increase in the value of those buses. So that's why it went, last year it was $29,000. So this year it's $35,000. And then the final policy that we bind under the property program is we don't bind for this. It's the restricted contingency reserve. So the district used to get insurance for this, and it became very expensive because the bridge is an expensive item. And so the district, I think several years ago, decided to self-insure for any bridge physical damage and loss of revenue. And so there's a reserve fund that the district has for this restricted contingency reserve. So we no longer get a policy of that, again, because it was cost prohibitive. But it's always mentioned in here, I think, because the broker always reminds me of it because they used to go out and purchase it for the district. So that's a summary of the coverages. If you'd like to turn to the last page with the table to compare the prices from 2025 to 2026, you'll see, so we started on page 53, I think we're at 64. And that last table shows you that overall we achieved about a 4% savings for the 9 lines of coverage, which, while it doesn't sound like a lot, it's better than most markets. Yeah, and in this environment, insurance is just outrageously expensive, and so I was glad to see at least there was some savings, albeit not much, right? And it's still an increase, but we had some decreases in other lines. So with that, I'm open to any questions about the insurance binding.
Excellent. Kelly, thank you for your report. Are there any questions or comments from directors?
What was the new total?
The new total is $6,273,720.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I didn't update it. I spoke to Kelly about it when I got the change yesterday, and she said because it's a not to exceed, that it was okay for me to not change it and just make it a part of the recording of the meeting.
Thank you, Director Parr.
Thank you. I hope you'll listen carefully underneath what Kelly actually says. She doesn't just accept what people tell her. She goes and pushes back. And I think if you listen to her, you don't want to be on the other side because it's unheard of to keep getting decreases in premiums. So thank you for that.
I'm just a little spicy. Just a little.
Yeah, I'm sure we do. And if you're ever in trouble, come and tell us.
Yeah, I have such a great relationship with the brokers that we use for the marine and the property and liability. And I think now they've come to understand that we're not just going to accept what they put in front of us. And I'm always going to ask them. So an example is the AIG property. When I asked them if we could increase the deductible, and they came back and said, well, AIG said they'd give you $20. I said, ask again. Ask again. So they did, and they gave us like $25,000 savings.
Hey,
Right.
God hates a coward.
Right. So, but if you don't ask, the answer is always no, right?
Yes,
Right.
President Rabbit.
I'm just curious, and really to Kim, how do you actually play a role within the insurance, especially on the limits? I know, based upon experience and everything else, and the way that we do business from the legal standpoint, that the insurance agencies or companies might appreciate, as opposed to other organizations where they might be looking to bump those figures up.
I think you have to look at the end of the table, and because Kelly is so cognizant of risk management issues, and that's where we're really winning.
Right.
I mean, that the insurance companies look at us, and when she pushes back, they're like, "Yeah, you're right. You are doing a much better job."
Yeah.
So that's a huge thing. I'm here to support Kelly, but Kelly's doing it by herself.
That's great, and I appreciate that so much because, as we all know, insurance has just taken. I think there were double-digit increases there for a while, and I was just curious on what was to be expected. I know for jurisdictions like counties or cities, if you're going to court over a police matter for a few years, you're not going to win the case, and of course that played into a lot of things. But thank you so much for the good work.
Well, I think that it's partly too because I'm involved in every claim. And so because I know about them, and I think because I've been in the claim industry for so long, I now know what battles to pick. I can pick and choose my battles. And so not everything is a fight. And sometimes you really just have to concede, but not give away the farm. Right. And so I think that I'm able to walk that balance because of the partnership I have with Hansa Bridget and then the workers' comp TPA. I think that's how we're able to draw such good premiums because they see that I'm not just somebody out with the broker soliciting premiums and new policies. I'm heavily involved in the claims and so they know that. And we settle so many of the liability claims aside from the workers' comp. I think they see that. They don't stick around for long.
Thank you for the good work.
Oh, yes.
So much nuance there. Any other questions, comments? Okay, that concludes discussion item number 6. Before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers for this item on the public line or in the room.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Does it have a second?
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Thank you. We're voting on item number 6 with the first and second, starting with Director Cochran.
Yes.
Devlin.
Aye.
Hernandez is absent. Maston is absent. Rodoni.
Yeah. Aye.
Vice Chair Parr.
Aye.
Chair Giudice.
Yes.
And President Rabbit.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. We'll continue with item number 7, which is approve award contract number 2026-D-020, third-party workers' compensation claims administration and ancillary services to Athens administrators. The staff report begins on page 61. And Kelly, please continue your report.
Sure. And so the request is that the committee recommend approval to the board for the award of the contract to the third-party administrator. And that includes the program administration and solicitation includes ancillary support for medical case management, utilization review, medical provider network, bill review, along with the claims administration. And because we are self-insured in the state of California and we aren't self-administered, we have to have a third-party administrator administer those services. And so the matter went out to RFP on March 1st, and we did receive several inquiries when it first posted. But as of the deadline date, we had 5 parties that had completed the response portion somewhat appropriately. We had to remove number 3 because they responded to only a portion of the services. So then we were left with just 4, and that included Athens, Innovative Claim Services, Pegasus, and TriStar. There was a group comprised of myself, Mario Jaquez from BUS, and Dave Rivera, and we reviewed the qualifications and experience of each party, the approach to their scope of services, and then the cost proposal. And after considering the written proposals and responses, the procurement specialist indicated that Athens had the highest score. They do happen to be the incumbent, and they have been with the district for quite a while as well, it should be noted. And that selection was based not just on the retention history, however, that is a huge part of it, the bundled flat rate and the familiarity, obviously, with our divisions. And so we're not just like any other agency that goes out, because we have not only the 27 unions, but we have standard workers' comp claims. We have programs in the ADR, the Alternative Dispute Resolution, and then we have Jones Act claims. That involves, the federal jurisdiction and the Longshore Act. So we're really an anomaly, and it's hard for people when they bid on these to make a complete bid because they don't understand all those services that we offer. And so, for example, one of the responders had never done Jones Act claims, and they indicated as much in their response. Another had not worked on ADR claims, but talked about their research in ADR claims, right? So it's really not a one-size-fits-all. So Athens, again, was the highest rated firm. And I just want to add that like a lot of RFPs or contract changes, I don't think it's really appreciated what happens if we were to have to change a workers' comp TPA. So the years of data that's extrapolated from our claims that's required for us to keep is held. And when that changes, let's say that if it would have gone to number 2, innovative, typically in the TPA world, what happens is you have a 6-month lead. So Athens would have had a 6-month lead to prepare us for the transition. Then the receiving team would have a 6-month lead after that. So for a year, you're in transition, moving all your claims, all the banking, notifying all the employees, notifying the state, and then notifying all the clinicians, the doctors that treat, because they have to bill to new places. So it is just an incredible feat to undergo. We had a whole department when I worked in the TPA world that just did incoming business and outgoing business because it was a full-time job. So I'm thankful that Athens was the highest scorer, because it's going to save a lot and a lot of questions and confusion for our employees. It just makes things so much more seamless. So the recommendation is to approve the 3-year with 2 1-year optional years for a total of $3.188436 million, and that would cover a 5-year period of TPA services. Of course, the first 3 years would be bound by this contract, and the final 2 would be options at the general manager's discretion. And so I'm happy to take any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Yeah, sounds like best not to change horses midstream on this.
Right.
Are there questions or comments from my fellow directors? Okay, seeing none, this concludes the discussion item number 7. Before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no members of the public willing to speak on this item.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we've got a first and a second. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. We just had another member join us. Director Moulton Peters has made us the committee of the whole. However, since she just walked in after the presentation, I won't include her in the vote, just in case. So we'll still vote as a committee. Starting with Director Cochran.
Yes.
Director Devlin.
Aye.
Hernandez is absent. Maston is absent. Rodoni.
Aye.
Vice Chair Parr.
Aye.
Chair Giudice.
Yes.
And President Rabbit.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Thank you. We'll continue on to item number 8, which is to authorize the general manager to execute revenue agreements with values up to $1 million. The staff report begins on page 63, and I'm told now that Jennifer Minucci will present this item.
Oh, I guess so.
Plot twist.
Plot twist.
Welcome.
Yeah, we were ping-ponging on this one for us.
Welcome back.
All right. Item 8 before you is to authorize the general manager to execute revenue agreements with the value up to $1 million. Is really just a procurement shift in our, this is just a shift in allowing the general manager to receive and execute revenue agreements. This is not on the expense side. This just allows us to be able to take things like we actually got a grant that was larger than our current maximum that the general manager can sign. So we'd like to be able to accept funds, be able to do in-kind agreements. And this is just simply a change in our procurement action and agreements. And I'm happy to answer any questions on that.
I'll add that any such agreements I sign will be reported quarterly to the board as part of the quarterly reports we do.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you for your report. Are there any questions or comments from directors on this item? Okay, seeing none, that concludes discussion on item number 8. Before we take our vote, is anyone from the public wishing to speak on this item?
We have no speakers on the public line or in the room on this item.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Does that have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we do the roll call vote?
Thank you. We are now a committee of the whole voting on item number 8, starting with Director Cochran.
Yes.
Devlin.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Hill.
Yes.
Maston is absent. Moulton Peters.
Yes.
Parr.
Yes.
Parrish.
Yes.
Rodoni.
Yes.
Snyder is absent. Thier is absent. Second Vice President Garbarino is absent. First Vice President Hardeman.
Yes.
And President Rabbit.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the highlight. We'll continue to item number 9, which is to approve the proposed budget, fiscal year 26-27, operating and capital budget. Staff report begins on page 65, and Jennifer will remain to present this report.
All right. For those of us in the finance world, this is our Super Bowl of the year, or a highlight on the World Cup, depending what you're watching these days. This is the request to approve the proposed fiscal year 26-27 operating and capital budget. Last month we did a detailed review throughout the proposed book. This month I'm happy to review anything you'd like to revisit, answer any questions. But I thought I'd start by reviewing the staff report and the summary that you find. If you want to follow along, we've done this every year. I said the recommendation's long, but it is the approval process. We have some significant approvals in there, so we want to make sure we know what we're voting on today. So if you would look at your board report on page 65, I am actually going to walk through the recommendation for you. So item number 1 is to authorize the items as contained in the budget. That's the district goals, projects, and accomplishments, the reserve structure, the proposed changes to positions, and proposed revisions to the 10-year capital plan. Item number 2 is a recommendation to include salary increases for the coalition, non-represented painter, and ATU administration employees. This does not include a salary increase for the ATU bus operators after September 1, 2026, as their contract ends, and there's not been any future negotiated changes will be considered at a later date, but we don't have anything signed for the future right now. It also includes a capital contribution of $21 million that goes towards our infrastructure and capital projects. This will also authorize budget increases for 2 capital projects as part of the budget process, totaling $4,461,449 to be funded with 26% in district reserves and 74% in grant funds. And item number 5 authorizes the following items not currently included in the proposed budget, but will be included when we finish and do our year-end close in the adopted budget. It'll include any board actions that are approved through June 30th, 2026 that have a fiscal impact to the 26-27 capital and operating budget. It will also allow us to carry over any incomplete projects in the fiscal year 25-26 capital budget into the fiscal year 26-27 as authorized by the general manager. And it'll also allow to move any capital projects from the fiscal year 26-27 project list into the fiscal year 26-27 budget, also authorized by the general manager, and that's as staff resources become available in fiscal year 26-27. And lastly, it includes the final fiscal year 25-26 budget transfers needed to comply with the board's budget policy that will be implemented in the fiscal year 26-27 adopted budget book. So those are actually the recommendations. Just as a summary again, the proposed overall budget's $540.1 million. Of that, it's broken out into an operating budget of $299.5 million, and the capital budget's $240.6 million. The capital budget has revenue from both grants and reserves as designed to fund the full $240.6 million forecast. The operating budget will have a shortfall on paper of $47.1 million. However, we anticipate as we close the year to roll over $13 to $15 million in that one-time SB 125 funds. So we think we're going to start the shortfall in the low 30 million range, 30 to 34 million. And that's what we have proposed in the budget right now. Of course, this all depends on last month and our year-end closing. But as we talk about, we'll talk about it in the next item, we're actually looking good to track at least that amount over. Right now it's tracking even more than that. I also mentioned that last month this operating shortfall is a budgeted shortfall, which is a projection, not actual spending. That being said, the staff has been extremely diligent in looking at being efficient as possible. You hear all the tens and 20,000s that we're trying to nibble away. We're taking some budgeted positions out that we don't think we're going to fill anytime soon. On the other hand, we are continuing to meet customer needs with transit being creative, nimble. You heard how we've implemented mascots and looking at how that can make us a little bit more flexible. And you can see that in actual to actual over each year, we've been pretty steady in our expenses. So we're working to stay basically within our means. As you know, in the tolls, which is the bulk of our revenues, we're overall 15% below pandemic traffic. We're 25% in the morning traffic. We're below than what we had currently done before 2020. But I'm cautiously optimistic on toll and transit fares as we've seen some positive growth year over year. So as we've discussed, toll and transit fares are for maintaining rising costs in goods and services. Those go up every year in cost of living, such as our paint, our steel, labor, our maintenance, security. And then as we continue to look for opportunities to raise revenues while watching San Francisco downtown traffic slowly come back, we'll also look for ways to grow our ridership as well as any new grants for the capital side. In the fall, we'll revisit our fiscal health when we do our annual 5-year projections. This will enable us to discuss what we look like over long term. And as I continue to say, we forecast the need to use to use reserves this fiscal year, which is okay in the short-term environment, but those are really earmarked for our capital projects, and we've spent years to build those reserves to be fiscally healthy and to replace our very aging capital assets. However, I think in the fall we'll have a better gauge of where we're shaking out. And lastly, before I open it up to anything you'd like to discuss or revisit, there is an Appendix A in your board report that just reviews some of the answers that were asked last month. If you weren't here, and the questions and answers that were there was a couple. With that, I'm happy to answer anything, but I also wanted to note, based on Kelly Vitale's report, that you do have that self-insured bridge insurance. Just in case you want to know, page 167 of your proposed book has the reserves, and that'll show you where that $20 million that we've been banking every year we put aside for self-insurance, since we don't do property insurance since it's so expensive. Also, just want to take a minute, since we do the insurance annually, that actually the insurance used to be done years ago, actually when I started in the finance department. And we realized, Joe Wire and I realized quickly that it would be better to have someone who really has that relationship with the insurance companies, because we have such a variety set of insurance companies, somebody that was looking at risk liability and focused on that. So we are really happy we have someone like Kelly here to maintain those insurance premiums at a dull roar and keep us viable. And with that, happy to answer any questions, review anything in the book, anything you'd like to discuss.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, when you look at 15% down in terms of bridge traffic, it doesn't seem like a huge number, but then when you extrapolate it out with the numbers involved, it becomes this enormous number at the end. So I really appreciate your efforts. How about some comments or questions from directors, please? Please, Director Hill.
Senate Bill 79 by Wiener is going to radically densify San Francisco using transit.
Okay, thank you.
This is a comment.
Any other comments, questions? President Rabbit, no?
Just want to say thank you to the committee, to Jennifer and her team, to all the leadership for, and again, going in, passing a budget that has some parentheses around certain numbers is always a little eye-opening. But I do appreciate the strategy that we have involved in coming to the end of the SB 125 carryover and coming more toward actuals as we move forward. This year, I think we'll continue to have a good fiduciary discipline and financial discipline to really look for those places that we can save.
Appreciate that.
And we've proven that in the past so many years, and remains important. So thank you.
Thank you. And on a personal note, thank you very much. I'm very much enjoying our weekly meetings. It's been quite an education. Any other items? No? Okay, that concludes discussion on item number 9. But before we take our vote, is there anyone from the public wishing to chime in?
We have no speakers on the public line or in the room for this item.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second? Perfect. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. Voting on item 9 with the first and second, starting with Director Cochran.
Yes.
Devlin.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Hernandez is absent. Hill. Maston is absent. Moulton Peters.
Yes.
Parr.
Yes.
Parrish.
Yes.
Rodoni.
Yes.
Snyder is absent. Thayer is absent. Second Vice President Garbarino is absent. First Vice President Hardeman.
Yes.
And President Rabbit.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes. Thank you for adopting our budget.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll continue on to item number 10, which is the status report of fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Staff report begins on page 75. And Jennifer, please continue your report.
All right. As I mentioned, this is your status report on the current budget, fiscal year 25-26. I always call attention to page 77 of your packet or appendix or attachment A. This does the rundown where we, again, had on paper $58.2 million shortfall. That's funded with $34.5 million of SB 125. Started the year at $23.7 million that we thought we'd have as a shortfall. Everyone has been super diligent on the expense side. We've gotten, as I'll say, a little luck on the revenue side, or as Dennis would say, I'm extremely conservative when I budget the revenue side, so always want to win there. But at the end of the day right now, we're looking like we are going to be able to roll about, if we were to end the year today, $19.5 million to use for next year's operating budget. So that's really good news. And we are hoping that the last month of spending, as long as John left the room. As long as John doesn't spend all the money.
I knew that was going to happen.
Right on topic. Yeah. So, yeah, we're all good till I sit next to him for the month. So, we are hoping to maintain that somewhere as a dull roar, but happy to answer any questions on that as well. I'm going to have to ask him what his last month's spending is looking like.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there any questions or comments or concerns from the directors? Okay, seeing none, this concludes the discussion on this item. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on item number 10?
We have no speakers for item number 10 in the room or on the public line.
Okay, thank you. There is no action associated with this item number 10. We will move on to item number 11, which is the monthly review of Golden Gate Bridge traffic tolls and bus and ferry transit patronage fares, as well as item 12A, monthly statement of revenue and expenses, and 12B, monthly statement of capital programs and expenditures. Please continue.
All right. As we close out the year, if you turn to page 87 of the report, which is that little, becoming micro font this time of year of every month actuals and budgets, you'll see that in the bridge, we were pretty steady for May. We are looking to track, that's where you can see it starting to flatten out for May, but on the other hand, compared to budget, higher. Bus, again, I will be coming back next month. I've been working with planning to just clean up the ridership numbers. Given our Clipper 2.0 rollout, we're still struggling with some of the ridership reports. But we hope to clean that up because we know that those numbers are very important for many of our grant formulas and just being able to have an accurate record. Ferry, as we said, those counts are physical counts, so we feel pretty good about the counts themselves. But again, on the revenue, we are tracking our Clipper 2.0 process. The financial reconciliation hasn't been complete through there, but we are thinking we are tracking pretty well. But overall, as you can see, modes for bus and ferry are up. We're happy about that. And happy to answer any questions on ridership revenues for the month of May or any of the other months.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there any questions on 11, 12A, or 12B from the directors? Okay, seeing none, this concludes the discussion on the item. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on these items?
Jennifer, do you want to roll through 12A and 12B? Because that was
he said
11.
12A, B. There are no questions. We're good to go. But I am happy to do that. Is again 12A, they're all routine. I call it. It's kind of your cash flow report. I looked to make sure there's no parentheses. We're 29 up ahead. 12B is the financial statements for capital programs. And as we said, we are exceeding our mark, which means that, again, good, John's back in the room, that we are spending seismic so that beyond budget, we're over 100%. So that's actually good news because we're making progress on the capital projects. Any questions on either of those? Happy also to answer.
Any questions, directors? Okay, seeing none. No actions are required for those items. Before we continue to item number 13 on the agenda, which is closed session, if there are no objections, I'd like to accommodate the public and take item 14, which is public comment, now instead after closed session. Are there any objections to taking public comment now?
I don't see any. We have no new callers that have joined the line since the meeting started, so we have no speakers for this committee.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll be placing the public on hold for the duration of our closed session, and we'll ask our attorney, Kim Manolius, to take us into closed session.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. At this time, the Finance Auditing Committee will go into closed session for a conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9D2. For the matter listed on the agenda, Wee Min Lee versus Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your patience while we're in closed session. I would like to make a repeat announcement just to let you know that starting with our July 23rd and 24th meetings, we will be moving to a Zoom-only format for remote participation. This means that this public call-in number that we've used in the past will no longer be available after these June meetings. If you would like to participate in future meetings, please visit our website in July, where you'll find all the information you need to join. Instructions will be provided for joining by computer, through the Zoom app, or by telephone using Zoom's dial-in options. This participation information will also be on the agendas that are posted each month for our future meetings starting in July. We understand that any change can take a little getting used to, and we're committed to making the transition as smooth as possible. We encourage everyone to check the website before the July meetings for the latest participation details. And of course, if you have any questions or need additional help, please contact the District Secretary's office at districtsecretary@goldengate.org or at 415-923-2223. Thank you for your continued interest and participation in our meetings. And thank you for keeping your devices on hold while we're in closed session. Thanks, everyone. I did just want to ask if there's anybody that has joined us that would like to make public comment at the end of the Finance Auditing Committee meeting. Please press ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, I'm not hearing anyone. Thank you. I would like to check back in while we're in closed session and see if anyone new has joined us that would like to speak at the Finance Auditing Committee meeting this morning. Under public comment, please press ** to unmute yourself and let me know. And again, if you are new, I do want to let you know that we will be transitioning to a Zoom-only format starting in July in our July meetings. Please check our website for information. It'll also be listed on our agendas, and you're free to reach out to the District Secretary's office at districtsecretary@goldengate.org or 415-923-2223. So these June meetings will be our last meetings on this public call-in line as we transition to Zoom in July. Okay, I'm not hearing anyone. Thank you.
All right, we're back in open session.
Okay, we're back in open session.
Yes.
Thank you. The Finance Auditing Committee met in closed session for a conference with legal counsel, as indicated on the agenda, and the committee gave counsel appropriate advice on as to how to handle the claim.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I would like to say congratulations to my fellow colleague and council member, Susan Hollingworth-Adams, for becoming president of the Association of Bay Area Governments. So congratulations to Susan. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? We stand adjourned. The time is 10:40.